Hello brothers and sisters, welcome another wonderful day in the new year. I wish for everyone here a good year all round. I pray for everyone here that, whatever we wish and pray for as it is positive will benefit us and the society at large, may the good Lord grant it. If you believe, say a big amen in the comment section. In this video, we have our first ever episode in this year here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. Please, in our next upload, I will link our other channel so we can all subscribe to that one also, so that when we upload our first video there, you will not miss it. With that said, we have a video where our brother shared with us the kind of things he and one prophet in South Africa has done to deceive the children of the Most High. I don't want to bore you with much talks, so let us go into the video for the day and listen to what he has for us. Please subscribe if you haven't done so, and also do like and share this video, so others out there can also benefit from this conversation, and hit the notification bell as well, so you will be notified anytime we upload videos. So, this is the conversation we had with him where he told his own story. My brother, I'm not proud of what I'm about to share, but it's a part of my life that has shaped who I am today. You see, not too long ago, I found myself in a place I never imagined I would be, far from home, living in a foreign country, trying to survive. When I did a lot of things that I today regret all. You see, I remember going to this particular church that day. I was standing in the back of a crowded church, feeling out of place, unsure if this was really what I needed. The place was packed with people hoping for miracles, desperate for change. But it wasn't until the prophet came up to speak that I started to understand what was happening. He was charismatic, powerful. He spoke with such conviction that you could feel the energy in the room shift. I wasn't sure if I believed in all this, but something in me began to hope, just for a moment, that maybe, just maybe, he could help me. After the service, I stayed behind, feeling lost and vulnerable. That's when one of the prophet's assistants approached me. He told me that the prophet had a special gift, and if I wanted a breakthrough, I needed to be open to receiving his help. But then he said something that caught me completely off guard. He said, if you want healing, we have to make sure the prophet can see you. Sometimes the prophet needs a sign. At first, I didn't understand. But he continued. He told me that they need someone to demonstrate the power of his healing. He told me that he knows I am struggling and that they wanted to help me survive. My brother, I don't know how he told me that I was struggling. I guess maybe I was really an open book then. But when I told him that yes, I was struggling, he then said that I could pretend just for a while. We'll bring you up to the prophet, and he'll heal you. To be honest, I was confused. Why I needed to pretend was something I couldn't understand. What was in my mind was pretend to do what? So, I asked him what I was to do that I needed to pretend. He smiled and told me that he will have to get time and educate me well about it, and then we can go and see the prophet. So after about some few days, I came to realize that I was to act like I was sick. My sickness was that I was supposed to pretend to be a crippled. I was told that when I agree to do this and when the prophet heals me in front of the congregation, it will bring me favor. And again, I will be rewarded. My brother, to tell you the truth, I was so shocked to the bone. My heart raced. I knew it was wrong, but at that moment, I was so desperate, so beaten down. What did I have to lose? Okay, so, if I am to go back to how I got myself into such a position or place in the first place, I will start by saying that I grew up in a town in Ghana called Suta. I always had big dreams of making it big, of building a life better than the one I had. But dreams are easy to have when you're comfortable, right? It's easy to dream when you're not facing the harshness of reality. You see, the reality of life did hit me hard when I moved to South Africa. I thought it was the land of opportunity, a place where I could change my life. I left everything behind, family, friends, the comfort of home, because I believed that if I worked hard enough, I'd make it. But the truth is that I didn't know how hard it would be. The truth is that I did find a job when I moved to South Africa. The work I found was nothing like I imagined. It was tough, exhausting, and barely paid enough to get by. I didn't want to admit it, but I was failing. It felt like I was drowning, like no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't breathe. I didn't know who to turn to. My family, back home, had high hopes for me. I couldn't tell them how much I was struggling. So, I kept up the act. I told them everything was going fine, that I was managing. The whole thing is that, when I first arrived, everything felt exciting. Johannesburg seemed full of possibilities. The city was alive with energy, with people chasing after their dreams just like me. I found a small apartment in a rundown around Lyndhurst part of the city. It wasn't much, but it was enough to get started. As we were about 2 in the room that time, I told my family back home I had made it. I sent them pictures of the city, and I filled my calls with stories of how things were going well. I didn't want them to worry. I didn't want them to know how hard things were really becoming. Obviously, when you travel to a place like South Africa, you have a lot of imaginations, and so, you will be filled with joy. And I wasn't different from this. But my brother, it didn't take long for the excitement to fade. The first few weeks were tough, but I convinced myself that it was just part of the journey. I found work at a small shop, and though it didn't pay well, I was determined to make it. But the bills kept piling up, and the little I was making was barely enough to cover rent, let alone food or transportation. The shop was in a busy area, and the manager was tough. He didn't care about my story or why I needed the job, he just wanted results. But the hours were long, and the pay was even worse. Every time I got paid, I could feel the weight of my situation. Rent was due, but I had to decide between paying that or buying food for the week. I would ration my meals, sometimes skipping lunch just to stretch my money further. But things only got worse. I had to borrow money from a friend just to cover my rent 1 month. I promised I'd pay it back, but deep down, I knew I wouldn't be able to. The thought of going back home, to my family, with my tail between my legs, it terrified me. I couldn't imagine what my friends and relatives would say. They all thought I was successful now. I had to keep up the lie, keep up the facade of being the guy who had it all together. But every day, I felt more and more like I was failing. I remember one night sitting in the apartment, I had no food, no money, and I could hear the loud noises of the city just outside my window. I felt completely alone. The thought of returning home was crushing. How could I face my family after everything I had promised them? I couldn't bear the thought of them seeing me fail. My pride was the only thing I had left. I reached out to my mom once, telling her that things were fine and that I was just working on a few things. She'd ask me when I'd be coming back to visit, and every time, I'd dodge the question, saying I was too busy. The guilt weighed heavily on me, but I kept going because I couldn't afford to admit I was struggling. The worst part. The constant fear of shame. Every time I walked down the street, I was reminded of my failure. My phone would ring with messages from back home, filled with hope and pride in me. But all I could think was, what if they knew the truth? What if they found out how badly I was failing here? I was afraid to go back home. I was afraid of the judgment. My family had invested so much faith in me. They thought I had it all figured out. How could I go back and tell them that I was barely getting by, that I was living in a rundown apartment and had no idea how to fix things? The fear of disappointing them, of showing my weakness, kept me up at night. I wasn't just struggling with the physical exhaustion and financial troubles, I was struggling with my own pride. I had to keep up the image of the successful man, the one who had gone to South Africa and made it, even though everything in my life was falling apart. You see, in this life, God has His ways of blessing you. Same as the devil has his own way of doing things too. You see, in my struggles, one day, I was walking aimlessly down the street, completely defeated. I had no idea where I was going, but I just needed to get away from the suffocating feeling of failure. That's when I saw him, a man outside a church, handing out flyers for a healing service. He was talking about a prophet who could change lives, who could heal sicknesses and solve any problem. I don't know why, but I stopped and listened. He spoke with such confidence that the prophet can help you if you needed any breakthrough in your life. It was about meeting the prophet and you can be saved from your situation. My brother, that moment, I was willing to try anything. I was desperate. I couldn't keep living like this. If there was even a small chance that this could solve my problems, I had to take it. I asked the man how I could see the prophet, and he handed me a flyer and told me to visit the church on the service day. That was when and how I ended up in the church. So, when I was told about what I was going to do, like I have already explained, I knew it was wrong. I knew it was a lie. But I also knew that if I didn't do something, I was going to lose everything. So, in that moment of weakness, I agreed. What did I have to lose? My pride. My dignity. My integrity. It was already slipping away with every passing day. I agreed. I know, it sounds insane. But you don't understand the kind of pressure I was under. My mind was consumed by the thought of escaping my miserable life, by the idea of being free from death, from the shame of failure. So, I went along with it. The next Sunday, I was brought up to the front of the church. I was introduced as someone who had been struggling with a condition, something vague, like an injury that left me unable to walk properly. I hobbled up to the altar, playing the part, trying to remember everything I'd been told. And when the prophet placed his hands on me, I felt the room go still. He prayed over me, and I stayed there, pretending to be in agony, waiting for the moment when I would miraculously be healed. My brother, looking back, the most agonizing part of this whole thing, of this whole scam, is that, when the prophet declared I was healed, people cheered. I stood up, pretending to be shocked, pretending to be amazed. I was healed, just like that. The crowd went wild, and I felt a rush I can't even describe. For the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't invisible. Like I mattered. After that service, when the prophet declared I was healed in front of everyone, something changed in me. It wasn't just the miracle itself that had people looking at me like I was someone special, it was the attention. The applause. The praise. For once in my life, I wasn't invisible. For once, people were looking at me like I mattered. But as the days went on, the weight of what I had done began to press down harder. The lie I had told, pretending to be crippled, pretending to be healed, didn't sit well with me. But you see, at the same time, there was this feeling inside of me that it was working. I wasn't struggling anymore. People were coming to me, asking about my healing, wanting to know how I felt, how I had overcome my condition. I was a part of something bigger now. I wasn't just a man surviving on the edge, I was a part of a movement. That's when they came to me again with another proposal. The assistant is the one who does all these arrangements with the others who truly understand what they do over there. He pulled me aside after the service and whispered to me that people now trust and believe in my story, and it is working really well for them. That was when he told me that, if I want, they can use me to help others. They can get more people to come forward, to show the prophet their struggles, and then, the prophet can heal them too. I came to understand that, most of the pastors who claim to be of God are the people who had long given up on ethics. He told me that, I was going to be their agent. And even if I want, I shouldn't be coming to church. They only want me to bring others to also act that they are sick. Where they will also act for the pastor to also pretend to be healing them. My job was to get them, train them in various forms of sicknesses. And when after they have the skills intact, I will take them to the church where the pastor will also pray for them to get healed. You see, because of the fear of not making it and send money back home, I was ready to do it. The idea felt wrong. But the thought of earning more, of being rewarded for helping others, which is receiving fake healings and also getting money, pulled me in. I knew what I was doing was immoral, but the rewards felt too good to resist. Don't forget to please subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. One thing which we should all know and understand is that, even as we reflect on this story filled with deception, power, and regret, it's important to remember the one truth that is most crucial for everyone out there. Let us take a moment to reflect on the choices made, the sacrifices given, and the dark path that was chosen by this man. Power, success, wealth, these are things that many of us crave. We are told from a young age that we should strive for greatness, that the world rewards those who push hardest and sacrifice most. But I am here to tell you that there is a hidden truth behind the pursuit of power. The price is often far higher than you can imagine, and once you pay it, you can never undo it. You see, this man believed he could outsmart fate. It's easy to think that we can control the consequences of our actions, that the things we give up, the people we hurt, won't matter in the end. But I urge you to reconsider. For the sacrifices made in the name of power, whether they are physical, emotional, or even spiritual, will weigh on you. They will leave scars that go beyond the visible. They will haunt you in ways you cannot predict. What begins as a thirst for more wealth, more influence, more control, soon turns into an insatiable hunger, one that can never be filled, no matter how much you achieve. For that is how the devil works. The truth is, every choice you make comes with a price. And sometimes that price is not paid in dollars or status. Sometimes it's paid in the lives of those you love, in the integrity you lose, in the pieces of your humanity that you willingly give up to move forward. When you make a deal with darkness, you're not just trading your soul for power, you're trading your peace, your conscience, your relationships, and perhaps even your very identity. In conclusion, this episode is a stark reminder that whatever we do in this life, we are bound to pay for it in the days ahead of us. The only thing you need to know is that God is calling you into a deeper, more intimate relationship with Him. And when you have that relationship with Him, you will be able to achieve all that you desire. Don't settle for anything less. We shall meet again in the next video. Thank you.